guys, welcome back to Hear Me Out. I'm E.
I'm D.
And today we're going to cover episode 9, season 5 of the Kardashians. This episode is called Second Chances. Very keeping up with the Kardashian-esque kind of episode. So we've been happy for 2 episodes now. Hopefully they keep it going. So today we're going to read an article recapping what happened. And of course, we're going to give you our unsolicited thoughts.
Totally unsolicited. Okay, so this article is from thefeastoflegends.com, written by Deepta Shadha. And it starts with, the penultimate episode of the Kardashian season 5 is finally here, and it is every bit as exciting as one would have expected. The Kardashian and Jenners have been on our television screens for a long time now, and rest assured that trend is bound to continue in the coming years, because one can never truly be bored of watching them. I don't know if I agree with that. Anyway, and they can never stop being entertaining, which brings us to the penultimate episode. We have said this before, but the Kardashians season 5 has been all about moving past the glitz and glam and holding up a mirror to the lives of the Kardashian-Jenner family. This season has especially focused on Kris, Kim, Khloe, and Kourtney, and episode 9 is no exception. So, the Kardashians begins with an update on Kris Jenner's health, who is currently surrounded by her loved ones as she recovers from surgery. Scott Disick, who was absent from the previous episode, is back once again as he visits Kris along with Khloe and Corey, who are also present. Kris appears to be ready to get back on her feet in a matter of 2 weeks, and this truly portrays her strength, a quality that has often been highlighted. While Kris's health is getting better, Kim, on the other hand, has suffered an injury with 2 broken fingers, and it was bad enough that the show had to give a graphic image warning. So if blood and cuts bother you, you might want to turn away. Kim appears to be in far too much pain, but despite that, her schedule doesn't stop, and she surely takes after her mother. Kim and Khloe finally appeared to be cordial with each other after a tense couple of episodes, after which fans are transported all the way to Australia with Kourtney, Travis, and the kids as she accompanies her husband on tour. So, before we go a little bit more into the additional stuff, what do we think about just the beginning, seeing, Kris's recovery, and then also Kim's situation with the 2 broken fingers? What do we think?
Well, first, we can't fake 2 broken fingers. The Kardashians are going to Kardashian to keep us engaged. I remember, we saw her maybe a few months ago or years, I don't even know at this point, and everybody was wondering what happened to Kim's fingers. Well, now we know. A sliding door, that must have been so painful. I was in tears just looking at it. I'm like, I can't even imagine. I'm like, I feel like I would be pissed at my kids because it happened because of them. I'd be like, you are eternally grounded. But I'm glad she is okay. I don't know if the snail grew back, but for her sake, I hope it did, because we know our stepsisters could be a little shallow. You know what I mean? But going back to Kris, I'm glad that she's okay. She seems to be in good spirits. Obviously, Kris is going to Kris. She's going to take a martini over medication. I love this about her. She's always loved her martinis. If anything, she is very, very consistent.
Yeah.
That is the way she operates. But I think the star of that little segment was Khloe and her questions. These are legit questions, guys. Where are the dinosaurs in the Bible? Why aren't they there? What happened? Why were they just deleted from history? Let us know in the comments if you really know why. Maybe I sound ignorant right now. But these are real questions. And then Eve, that was legit. Why didn't we think the baby was an alien? Why was Adam okay with this going on? They started mankind.
Okay. Well, first, dinosaurs would not be in the Bible because dinosaurs had already been extinct.
I know. It's legit.
But they had not been found either. it's been within the last century or so that we have found dinosaur fossils and all these different things. So that's one.
Take a smart ass, okay?
No,
These are real questions.
I'm just gonna help educate the people because obviously some people are confused, aka Chloe, aka E. So, and then as far as the baby thing, that was legit. That was legit. How do you not think this is an alien? How do you not think, like, what is going on with my body? This is weird. This is weird.
Oh, so you agree with that, but you can't agree with the dinosaurs? You make me sound psychotic?
The dinosaur thing is super explainable. How are you going to
No,
explain
it's
a
not.
whole human coming out of a woman's body?
First of all, let's talk about the Mayans and how they knew everything and anything before us in this 21st century think we invented stuff. No, they invented everything. Guys, I took a whole trip and learned all about them, and I'm like so mesmerized. Y'all should, but I digress.
Well, so as far as Chris, I'm glad that she is or that she was recovering well. I still think, that whole situation, I mean, I can assume because it seemed like it was tough for her. Hopefully she was able to also receive some sort of, just mental support or something because that is such a big thing to happen to a woman. So I'm glad that she at least does seem like she's doing well in the episode. Now as far as Kim, all I kept thinking is like that is such a freak accident.
Yeah.
Like when they showed the X-ray and you just see the teeniest part of her finger broken, it's just like how, Sway? How? It just seems so preposterous to be real. But here we are. The woman has the tips of her fingers broken. And you best believe she got that nail back. There is no way she wouldn't. She went into a whole hyperbaric chamber. She's getting her nails back. Trust me. Anyway, that was. I really honestly cannot get over that. I thought that was such a weird thing to happen to somebody. Like,
What
creepy.
is it? What does the chamber do again?
Honestly, I can't remember. I learned about it in Grey's Anatomy. the med school for all of us TV fans. But I can't recall exactly what it does. It's supposed to help, like, kind of. I don't know if it's supposed to speed up healing or what exactly. I can't recall. Anyway, if y'all know, put it in the comments. So let's continue. Okay. Let's see. Fans get plenty of chances to look into Kourtney's life abroad with the people she loves, and we have to admit that was the best part of season 5, episode 9. In this episode, there was another major highlight, which involved Kim and Chloe getting together to visit prisons in the US and actually talk to the people who have been there for crimes they committed when they were much younger. Kim's more emotional and intellectual sides are shown in this episode, much like the previous one where she spoke with Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and this truly helps fans view the Kardashians as more than just celebrities. So, before we wrap things up, because this was a very short recap, what did we think about Kourtney in Australia, and then subsequently seeing, Kim and Chloe going to the two different prisons?
Kourtney. She did seem like she was having fun with her other kids. However, I feel like I was putting myself in the kids' shoes. Obviously, we don't see Rocky. I don't think we'll ever see Rocky at this point in time. Rocky was home. And
Mhm.
she mentioned in the confessional, I think, or to somebody on the show, that she centers what she does around Rocky. So the feeding time with the nap time, plus or minus 2.5 hours. Just putting myself in the kids' shoes, I would find it a little annoying. Because how about if we're really having fun and it's really like a good moment and it's like, pause, kid number 4, I got to go pay attention to. Which Kourtney is probably doing the best that she can, but I don't, it just feels like, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm reaching. She is so obsessed with Travis and this baby and like basically doing everything right. Like she's giving me the vibes that with Scott, nothing was right. Maybe she didn't raise the kids right. I don't even know. But this is like her perfect little bubble, her perfect little marriage. She was like my husband's home. Like if she could go back to like the 1950s and just follow her man everywhere, which is fine if you want to do that, and just showcase your baby and be with your baby and be a stay at home mom. It seems like that's what she wants to do and wants to be in that bubble and not putting 100% of that specified attention to the kids. You get me? And I'm sure it's difficult because you have a lot of kids, uh, different ages, they need different things, they're stimulated differently. So I don't know. I just found that a little annoying because it's like, oh, we have to leave because of a baby. We're here, we can have fun only for 2 hours and 45 minutes, and then we have to head back. So I don't know. I don't know if the kids are having fun, but I do know that Rain is the funniest person I know. He is Scott personified. He is Scott's twin. He is Scott number two, and Kourtney ain't happy about it.
I
I
know.
think it made my day. I know I'm on a petty wagon, but saying that, I don't understand what's Kourtney's fascination with making out in front of her kids.
Mm,
I
yeah.
understand that she's probably trying to show the kids what a happy marriage is, what people that, two adults that love each other, how to communicate and show affection. But I think she just goes overboard. There's a time and a place to be making French kissing or kissing on the neck. Like Rain thought it was a hickey. Like I don't know why I found that so gross. Like how does he know what a hickey is? He's like, y'all just had two babies. Don't make another. Like, it's just that was a whole weird dynamic to me. I'm like, she can be herself. She can show affection, but I think she just needs to take it down a notch in front of the kids. Actually,
Yeah.
in front of fans, because I don't want to see all that. To be honest.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Honestly surprised that Kourtney isn't doing like the whole trad wife wave because like she seems to follow that in
Yeah.
some way. But I guess I don't know, maybe she's just got too much money to do the trad wife thing. But like to me, it is still odd the way they behave in front of the children. But here is a very maybe people are going to like, hate me for it, but like this is a take that I have that I think some people wouldn't want to admit. But yeah, this is her perfect little life. She's redoing her life. That is the reality. She has found the person that, she loves most in this world. She's had a child with him now. That is her perfect life. And I think that she feels some kind of guilt because the other children aren't a part of that. Not really, not fully, right? Um, she still has to share them with their dad. So in essence, the children are kind of like an add-on at this point.
Mhm.
And like I feel like no parent would want to admit that, right? Because it sounds so terrible. But from the outside looking in, it's not hard to see that like you have moved on from your past life. Your past life includes those three kids you had with Scott. And the fact that she kind of seems like annoyed by Rain being exactly like Scott leads me to believe that yeah, she fully wholeheartedly like wants nothing to do with this person ever again in life, but is stuck because she shares three kids with him. And I feel like she, I don't know, I think something that some people just really wouldn't be willing to admit is that they would do life over again, even if it meant that they wouldn't have those other kids. I feel like that's the kind of vibe she gives with the way that she acts with Travis, especially in front of the kids. Like if I was Penelope, if I was her daughter, I would feel like I'm not wanted in some way. Or like maybe I really wasn't wanted and now you have what you want. This is what you wanted all this time. And like
Mhm.
it's sad, right? Like, and I could be wrong, but I feel like a lot of the times adults don't want to admit the hard stuff. They want to pretend like, no, I love all my kids equally. That's a lie. You have a favorite. That's a
No,
lie.
to defend, can you believe this? To defend Courtney, her kids with Scott are much older. We know how we were when we were teenagers. We didn't want nothing to do with our parents. We would cry for no reason at school. Why were we crying? I don't even know. What
Why
what
did
who bothered us? But whatever. Guys, we've known each other for a very, very, very long time.
yeah.
So we didn't want anything to do with our parents. So I'm sure they're wanting to hang out with their friends, with their cousins, they're going to all these activities. Their time is shared with the dad.
Yeah.
So maybe she feels like, well, this is a baby. Obviously we have to take care of the baby,
Mhm.
but it's almost like, the baby needs me. My older kids don't need me as much.
Yeah.
Let's think of it that way, because just thinking that she don't want her kids, I think she does. Maybe she would have wanted those
Okay.
kids with Travis.
Yes, yes,
Let's
yeah.
change the wording of that. She loves her kids, but when
Yeah.
she had a different baby daddy.
No, and I'm not saying that she doesn't love her kids or that she doesn't
Yeah.
want her kids. I definitely believe that she loves and wants her kids. But yes, I do believe that she would have loved to have had them with Travis. I like it. There's this show that's on Apple TV right now. I believe it's called Dark Matter.
Hmm.
And the main character has this life with his wife and his son, where he's a teacher. His friend I don't know if they were close friends before, is living his best scientific life and is winning awards for all of his scientific breakthroughs. And
Yeah.
like, meanwhile, here's this guy, just a regular school teacher. Think Walter White. Remember him and the friends that he had? Okay. So kind of like that. So in his world, he's, kind of like just living a very mundane life. He's got his wife, he's got his son. And the friend offers him a job to like, work with him, do science stuff or whatever. Um in the middle of all of this, a man comes along and think La Usurpadora takes over his life. We find out that he's from like another dimension or another world.
So like
Literally,
bodies,
like what?
like bodies. The show Bodies on Netflix.
Uh, kind of, sort of. Like
Uh-huh.
he basically so at the point where I guess the catalyst would be like when he's young, his girlfriend gets pregnant, and so he has a choice, right? And the main character, chose to stay with his wife and have or to, eventually marry his wife and have this child together. Um that's one life. The other life, the guy who came and did the usurpadora, he went the other way. He did not get with
Also,
her.
like the Flash. I know we're mentioning a
Yes.
whole bunch of show. The ultimate, the what is it called? The
Ultimate
other
universe.
dimension.
Yes. So he, in this other life, he is the science guy. He's the one making millions. He's the one that's
Mm,
brilliant. He chose
that
his
sucks.
career path.
Yeah.
But why does he come back and does the usurpadora? And by the way, usurpadora means like, damn, what does usurpadora mean? He usurper. Yeah, 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 yeah. So what he does is he takes the main guy away from his life and puts him into that alternate life. And he then gets to live the life that, he did.
I was thinking now the Parent Trap.
Stop it. We're confusing the crap out of people.
Sorry, guys, but I hope
But
you're following.
but my point is, there was a point in time, right? And then there was these two paths. You're at a fork in the road. One went one way, one went the other. The one who went the other decided, nah, I want to go that way now. So he goes and he takes that life for himself. So it's like, you make these choices in life. You never know what you're going to get, right? You're just living them. You're doing what you can with what you have and try to make the best of it. And so I think Kourtney, if she were to be at a fork in the road, if she were to have the chance to do things over, I don't think that she would have chosen to do things the way that she did this time around. I feel like she probably would have gone a different direction. Just not to say that she doesn't love and want her kids. That's not it. But I just think that like the vibe that she gives when she's with
Yeah.
Travis is like it makes you feel like, dang, like I feel bad for these kids. Like,
Mm-hmm.
know? So anyway, like that's that's why I brought up the show. That's why I thought of that because it's just like, you have these choices in life and obviously like it can go either way. And for her, this is the way that things went. So anyway, what did we think about Kim and Chloe going to the prisons and having discussions there?
Actually, that segment made me a little emotional, and I have so many, I guess, mixed feelings about it.
Hmm.
All right, number one, they discussed that some of them were teens when they got, convicted, and some of them have life without parole and things like that. And like we mentioned in our previous episode, go ahead and watch it, guys. I think we have such a jacked up prison system. We have failed these people.
Yeah.
Um, and sentencing is very appropriate and can be very unfair at the same time.
Yeah.
I think, or I would love for Kim, if she could, to kind of tackle uniformity in
Hmm.
the prison system and the way we do sentencing, because it's all over the place. So a crime in Florida can get 200 hours of community service. In Texas, 5 years. In Cali, death penalty. And we're not even talking about the different judges within
Right.
that state and how they assess the appropriate punishment for said crime. So I think that's the first problem. And just thinking about teenagers making this one choice, whether it was a mistake or not, and that defines their whole life, is so troubling to me. And I get it, some people are just cuckoo cuckoo, but some people could be victims of circumstance. A
Yeah.
lot of the people in the prison system, like we heard, we thought violence meets with violence. If this is what you're surrounded by, if this is what you're taught, if this is what your parents are doing, if this is, what you're taught for survival, like what else can you do? That's the right thing to do in those parameters. If you know better, you do better. But if you don't know better, you do what you see. So
Mm.
some people are just set up to fail.
Yeah, for sure.
If we go to the schools, there's this what's the word? We don't get the same schools, the same education that more
Mm.
privileged communities get. If we go with grocery stores, we don't get the same food items in an impoverished place versus a more affluent place. So everything, every decision, where you live, who you're raised by, nature, nurture, who's teaching you or not, who are your friends, are impacting these people's lives. So just knowing, going back, just knowing that somebody who was a teenager and let's say made a mistake, didn't know better, and has to be in prison for the rest of their lives kind of suck.
Yeah.
That made me, really, really upset. That's not to say that I'm not upset at the victim's parents and families and who they lost or who they've hurt. But how do we solve this problem?
That's a really tough question. Um, but I think that, ultimately when they were discussing, like, for example, the things about being teens, being, basically kids, it reminded me of the Netflix show When They See Us, about the Central Park Five. And, these were five teenage boys that were accused of a heinous, heinous crime, and they had to serve, time in jail, in prison, for a crime they didn't commit. They were eventually exonerated. One of the five was tried as an adult, so he had to go, like, to an actual, like, prison, not juvenile prison. And so their lives were heavily impacted by this. And I think one of the things that, I find interesting is that Kim has continued to work on this. We may not see it all the time, but it does seem that she's at least continued the advocacy for it. Um, and I just wonder, like, like, for example, there's organizations like the Innocence Project, who take on advocacy for certain people that are in jail, to, like, basically see if they were in fact innocent. There's different avenues, so I wonder if she's going to utilize her platform to do something like that, to help others in that way. Especially if she does become a lawyer, that would be something that I think could be very, like, beneficial, because I think it's a very difficult thing to go into these prisons and hear these stories and come out of them the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they must affect you and who you are in a very real way, because of the fact that, like, it's such a, like, disheartening thing to hear that these people, either for low level crimes or for crimes that they committed as kids, that maybe, like you said, for however many circumstances could have been avoided, um and to have to, like, basically pay in such a, like, heavy way, it's unfortunate. And so I hope that she's able to continue the work that she's doing, and that it can maybe grow to, like, something bigger. um but I will say that the one thing I don't particularly care for, because Kim is, after all, a billionaire. Um, Her association, for example, when she got involved with the previous administration, I believe that's when she got Alice Johnson freed. I mean, that's great. I'm glad that was able to happen. But that previous administration has ties to people that own prisons for profit. So you're trying to help the very same people that these other people you're associating with are, like, banking on using these people to, like, make them money in prison. Um Obviously, I'm not going to get into, like, all of the craziness that is the prison system in America, because that would take an entirely whole new series.
No, we don't
But
do that. No.
there's and also a Netflix documentary by Ava DuVernay, The 13th. I definitely recommend for people to watch that, and just seeing what the basically high school to prison pipeline is, and how a lot of corporations and people with lots of money benefit from our prison system. So if Kim is really trying to make a difference and really help with prison reform, I think she also needs to reevaluate some of the associations that she makes. But anyway, that was that.
But can't we also say any help is good help?
No,
No.
no, because somebody doing something nice for you today doesn't
Mhm.
negate the fact that then they're turning around and utilizing their resources to incarcerate Black and brown young people at such an exponential rate. We are the minority in this country, but the majority in the prison system. So it's like, it it isn't it isn't a balance ultimately. She
Hmm.
got one person to be pardoned. One. When there's so many, like thousands, hundreds of thousands in the prison system. And I'm not saying that everybody's innocent. I do believe if you did a crime, you have to pay the price for it. But like you mentioned, there should be uniformity. Like across the freaking board, there should be uniformity. Um,
Some
but
United States we are.
but even with that, like you mentioned, there's judges. Judges are elected. Judges have political affiliations. Judges have to fundraise for their campaign. Judges get money from people with money. Judges get money from corporations. So, our judicial system is not the best, guys. And, I'm not going to apologize for it because I didn't do nothing wrong. But this country should apologize for it. Anyway, I'm not going to, go any further.
Yeah, what she said. Guys, don't get her started because then I gotta hear it. Okay.
Whatever.
But guys, that concludes today's episode. Let us know in the comments what you think. What do we think about prison reform and the work that Kim is doing? What do we think about the stories that we heard from the men in the prison and the women in prison? Which that was just listening to the women's side. It was
Yeah.
kind of crazy. What did we think about Rain being like his daddy? Do we find it hilarious? Is that one of those things that our parents say, well, you'll see when you have your own kids, like the karma effect, because our parents are always like giving us vibes, Hispanic parents at least,
Yeah.
cursing our future kids to behave
Yeah.
the way we behaved. Uh, what did we think about Chloe's questions? They're legit questions, right?
Oh, gosh.
The alien question about Eve having a baby. Was
Yeah.
Adam like just chilling there? Like what happened in that interaction? Where are the dinosaurs? We
Oh my God.
need to know.
I can't.
That concludes today's episode. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Also, please share our video. We're trying to grow our community so your friends could be our friends and we can all be friends. We also have social media, which Steve will tell you about.
We are on TikTok and Instagram at Hear Me Out DNE. So make sure you guys like, follow, share, comment. You can also listen to our videos in podcast format via YouTube and Spotify.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye.
Bye bye.